Good morning, welcome back aboard Narrowboat Gentian. It's Sunday morning, I'm at Hawkesbury Junction. There has been fairly torrential rain this morning, which has just in the last half hour started to ease, so I'm going to press on with my journey, and the destination for today is Brinklow Marina. So I just need to go through the turn at Hawkesbury Junction, through the stop lock, and then plod straight along over to Brinklow. I was warned yesterday that the water levels were very low on the North Oxford and that a fellow boater has damaged their propeller because it hit something, the water was so low. Now my draft on this boat is pretty shallow, so I'm hoping I'll be alright. Also, perhaps because of this morning's rain, it might even have gone up a millimetre or two and won't be quite so bad, but I shall take it gently and let's find out. Even though the rain had stopped for now, the day itself had dampness laden through the air, and the evidence of the downpours was clear to see. Luckily, water on the back deck runs out through holes in the side, but it was still rather moist. Undeterred, I popped on a raincoat and set off, south for about 200 yards to the junction where I'd make a 180-degree turn under a bridge and then join the top of the North Oxford Canal. The old pump house was built in 1821 and brought water up to the canal from a stream underneath. We just go through this narrowing and then turn under the arched metal bridge. In a normal length narrowboat, this turn can be a challenge to do smoothly, especially as there's a pub on the other side where people like to watch, although it was too early in the day for that on this occasion. However, now being in possession of a 26-foot boat, I'd really have to try very hard to get it wrong, which briefly made me worry even more that I was going to do so. A stop lock provided a physical barrier between the two canals, which were run by separate companies. There is a rise or fall here of about 6 inches, but that's really more incidental than being relevant to the point of the lock, as tolls were taken here from the working boatmen of old. I'm very much on familiar territory here, as this was a route I did several times in my old boat. Barely had I started when the first of many rain showers began. Robots in disguise. For a rainy Sunday morning, the canal seemed unexpectedly busy. Herons normally fly away when I approach. This one I'm naming Usain because he bolted. Yep, it was going to be a damp day, all right. And yet the rain couldn't make up its mind. One minute it was chucking it down, the next it was on pause. Those clouds clearly held many gallons of wetness. I'm sure I've shown this butty before on this journey, haven't I? I'm also fairly sure I want to steal it. It is unbelievably cute. It bolts on with 2 straps and a V-shaped bracket. When the sun came out, the steam on the roof showed how quickly metal narrowboats warm up from the light. Look closely, the water's all drying off. And in mere minutes, you'd not have known I just got absolutely drenched. It's a pterodactyl! And almost as old as the dinosaur, the M6 motorway. Looks can be deceiving. It's a glorious sunny day over there. But swing the camera around and that's what's creeping up on me. There's a very long stretch of moorings here, which takes you ages to go around at Tickover. I'd been okay as much as you can with the rain showers up to this point. I was wearing a waterproof jacket. But at around lunchtime there was a sudden, tropical, torrential downpour and I called it time for a tea break, so I pulled in here and stopped for a bit. An hour later and it was exactly as you'd expect July to be, gloriously sunny. In fact, I had to take my coat off now because it was so hot. Approaching Rugby, you go through Stretton Stop, not to be confused with Hawkesbury Junction, which is also known as Sutton Stop. Here there's a hire boat company, chandlery and some moorings, plus a manually operated swing bridge. Having gone through, you just pause the boat where it sits while you close the bridge behind you. It rained again, of course. I was getting used to this by now. I mentioned in a prior video about bridges from the Horsley Ironworks, and there are plenty of them on this canal. Here they're taking the towpath over the original route of the canal before it was straightened. A process which shortened the canal by about 14 miles, a significant improvement for the working boatmen of the time. Now, what's going on here? Why can't we go up the towpath? Oh my goodness, look at that! This section was subject to a massive landslide, which had been on the cards for years. A lot of the canal bank round here looks unstable, quite frankly. And that wasn't the end of it, because there was a tree down across the water just after that. As you can see, there's enough room to slide by, although it's probably best if you don't have shiny paintwork. It's quite a green and overgrown section here. You feel you're somewhere incredibly remote, not 3 or so miles from Rugby. This journey was becoming butty-tastic. Me want lots. Also worth admiring are the flowers in this well deck. My end goal for that weekend's journey was upon me, Brinklow Marina. They call it the Marina of Dreams, I know not why, and it was built just off the old canal route, so we go under this bridge to get there. There's a rather more modern road bridge, which is very low by the way, to actually get into the Marina Basin. When I arrived, it was a few days before the Electrica 2025 event, so electric-powered narrowboats were lined up at the dockside. I wasn't really here for that, although I did go and look around. The boat just needed to stay here for a week until I could commence the final part of my journey to Gentian's ultimate mooring spot. Thanks for watching. Cheerio.